As winter approaches, I wanted to show you some ideas for making little cards, little prints, stocking stuffers, general decor, and this is winter batch painting. Hi everybody, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to show you how to make a series of winter paintings that you can use as gifts or cards that take less time because you do it in batches. So I have my paper that's taped down approximately like 3 inches by 4 inches, although I wasn't very precise. I have 6 sections here, and now I'm just mixing up my colors. I'm going to be using 3 colors today. We have Opera Pink, Opera Rose, I'll check that. We have Ultramarine Blue, and Indigo. I chose colors where it doesn't matter if they mix and meld because they're going to look pretty no matter what. First step for batch painting is to wet all of your rectangles at the same time. And now I'm going in with my lightest color. This is that pink. And I'm making general sweeping, whatever. I'm making shapes. I'm making little sky ground. We're doing the sky and the ground all together. This is going to be a little winter scene with some trees. I'm doing these little swoops in the ultramarine blue now too, and I'm not doing it identical. The goal here is not for all 6 of these to be identical copies of each other, but they do end up looking very similar, just with smaller variations. When the blue and the pink mix together, it makes a purple. I'm glad I chose these colors because when they mix, it is a really pretty color. I wouldn't necessarily do batch painting with blue and then a color like yellow because I don't want green in my sky, and I am being pretty loosey-goosey with this and not worrying too much if it mixes. But that's because I know that the colors are going to mix nicely and not create mud on my paper. I switched to a smaller brush now to do some little wisps of indigo. I want to just darken that sky and get some darker clouds. One thing that's interesting about batch painting is you're working on all of them at the same time, but the different areas of the paper are going to dry at different rates just based on how I put the water down. So the one on the top right definitely was wetter, and so it's spreading in this interesting way compared to the one on the bottom left where it is still softening, but the paint is generally staying where I put it. One bad habit that I have is fiddling with my skies a lot, but with this batch painting, I know I'm going to be adding some white splatter later, so I'm really just letting them dry. And here they are dry. The next step after the sky is to add, I'm doing this kind of purpley mountain hill background. Notice that I'm doing a row at the same time and kind of following that along. It almost looks like it's one mountain range. And then I'm getting more paint on my brush and kind of bringing that down. It's okay that some of the background paint is kind of showing through. It looks cute. And then I'm using some clear water at the very bottom to kind of fade that color out. And then the foreground is just snowbanks, basically. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the bottom. Once again, I'm doing the entire row. I'm going straight over that tape and just continuing my hills and mountains. Using some clear water to spread that out, bring it all the way down. Cool. Now, before these hills dry, I'm going to be adding in a middle ground tree line. All right, so I'm taking some of my indigo and I'm going to be putting in a horizontal line at the bottom of where these hills end. And because it's still wet, it's going to kind of feather out and up. And then I'm going to be using these short vertical lines to do some very basic trees. Again, you're going to see how the variation of dry times on the paper is going to get a varied look for the trees. So this first one, I'm going to add quite a bit of dark. In the other ones, they have more time to dry a little bit more, so that tree line is going to be a little bit less blurry. And again, this is all part of the fun. You can kind of play around with it, but the consistent elements of this painting and the consistent color palette of these paintings really makes it look like a set. After I'm putting in my vertical little tree lines, I'm taking some water and blending down that bottom section of the tree line, just like I did to blend down the bottom of the hill area that we put in. Some of the trees, I'm having them be a little bit more blue. Some of them I'm having them be a little bit more purple, but I'm really only using the 3 colors for the entirety of this painting. All right, one of the final stages, we're adding in some trees, some pine trees. I am varying up where I'm putting these. I'm putting a tall one and a short one, just a single one, a couple of them. Notice that I'm sticking to 1 or 2, maybe 3 trees, but I'm changing up how tall they are, and I'm changing up if they're placed on the right or the left, but I'm not really putting any smack dab in the center. You can do that if that's the style that you want. That doesn't matter. And then once I have my trunks in, I am going to use the darkest indigo to make these trees. And again, just like with all the other elements, I might add in a little bit of the pink or a little bit of the blue to change up the color of the trees, but generally that's going to be the darkest part of this painting. Just like with my other tutorials that involve doing pine trees, I change up how the branches go. Sometimes they are branches that kind of stick upwards. Sometimes they're more droopy. Sometimes they're thick. Sometimes they're a little bit spindlier. If you're still practicing with trees, this is a great way to try out some different shapes, or to just try to do it the same way and feel consistent with it. Now that I've done the trees on the top row, I'm taking just a lighter of that color and blending it down to get some shadow, some snowbank effect. This is a really light wash going over, but it just kind of grounds the tree into the land. Growing up, my family would get a really tall Christmas tree, like 12, 13 feet. And we would go to a Christmas tree farm and cut it down. And I think it was like we paid $1 a foot, which now that I'm an adult and buy my own Christmas trees, like, what a steal. Now it's like I go to the grocery store parking lot and it's a 4-foot tree for $75. And I'm like, okay. So we did cave last year and get a artificial tree, partly because of the price every year, but also because one of my cats just really likes chewing on plants and then gets sick and throws up everywhere. So sorry, I mentioned throw up in a nice winter tutorial video. Anyway, we're adding in these trees again, and then we're going to use that lighter wash and blend it down and make these little snowbanks. You'll notice on this bottom row, the snowbank shadow color is quite a bit darker than the top. Again, that's just a variation that you get so that all of them are a little bit different and unique. You'll also notice I'm kind of just wiggling my brush back and forth to get some areas that, just take that color, and then other areas that get kind of a dry brush, and it just feels icy and snowy and really satisfying. The last step is going to be one of my favorites, which is adding in the snow. So I need to make sure that everything is dry before I add in the white gouache. You could do this with white gouache, you could do this with gel pen or white acrylic, anything that's going to be opaque. And this final part just really brings it together and is super fun. So for the snow, I'm adding in these little dots of white to areas of the trees where it would make sense that there would be snow there. So if we imagine these pretty much horizontal areas of branches and snow has settled on them, that's where I'm putting these little dotted lines of snow. You want to make sure if you're using gouache that you have a lot ready to go. If I were to do this again, I would not have used the dried gouache that I reanimate with water. I would have squeezed out wet paint from my tube of white gouache and used that instead, so it could be a lot more concentrated. I always have this issue of using gouache where I never have it opaque enough, and then it dries to almost disappearing, and then I have to add way more. Oh well, trial and error. And then we're going to finish with some splatter like it's snowing. So for the snow, I'm taking quite a bit of gouache on my brush and then tapping it against another brush. I'm making sure I'm kind of moving the brush and angling it in different ways so it doesn't just do straight, weird looking lines. And that's it. Everything's dry. I'm going to take the tape off and cut these up and show you how I use them. These are so cute. One way that I would use these is just for decor purposes, so hanging them up, maybe stacking them. I will also use them as cards and give them to my friends and family. And then sometimes I will also use them as little gift tags or little extra bonus content when I'm wrapping presents. I hope this was fun and helpful for you. I hope you try out some batch painting and find that you can come up with a lot of different paintings in a much shorter amount of time than you normally do. Look out for more winter content to come. I really love this time of year and I'm feeling very festive. So I have a lot of ideas cooking in my brain. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.